My name is Ciara Neufeldt. I am a craftsperson, an artist and a facilitator, and I am the Adobe creative resident for ceramic, tilework and mosaic. This way? Okay, there we go.
Gosh, this is so exciting to see this quilt.
When I applied for this residency, I was really interested at looking in the quilt collection here at the V&A, but one in particular was the HMP Wandsworth Quilt, and that was commissioned through a charity called Tilework, and they work with people in prison where that quilt was actually made, and then they also have like a post-release program. I think this idea of creating space for people who are often marginalised, and how can we do that? And I think that this quilt maybe does that, like gives people a voice and gives people the space to express themselves, and that is so important within like the role of an institution to do that.
We feel privileged and flattered that you chose this.
Yes, I mean,
all the wonders in this amazing
museum. Yes.
I was interested in quilting histories and like this idea of like collective making, and like how can you have people come together and like each make individual things, but kind of that come together into one piece of work. I look a lot at like joy in my work. How could you translate that collective making community into like a clay-based practice? So I think that was maybe the start of what I kind of intended or wanted to do. That workshop specifically was in collaboration with Tilework, and specifically their program, which is called the Open the Gate program. So that was people who are post-release from prison. Today we're going to be looking at Joanne Dawson's practice, and she looks a lot at like relief work, tile, mosaic, like architectural ceramic in particular. So looking at buildings and looking at our surroundings. So we were exploring decorative tile techniques. Each week it would change depending on an artist that had spoken earlier in the week. So it was kind of based on their practice, and we would kind of interpret that into like different decorative techniques. Yeah, think about what you want raised. So maybe like this house is raised and this house isn't. Do you know what I mean? It's always seen as like, oh, clay is so accessible because it's just like the earth and stuff, but like it's not. Like actually ceramic studios are really hard to get into, they're expensive, it's hard to like fire things in a kiln. And I think, yeah, I'm just really interested in like opening that up for people who would actually struggle otherwise to get into that space to like work with clay. There is in the Meds Wren Gallery a really ugly fountain. But people just really want to make a wish because they're still throwing coins into this like very kind of mundane looking fountain. So I just thought that this would be like a nice time to reimagine that into something like more fun.
Yeah, look at that. It's a jelly.
This work was also made collaboratively, so I worked with two artists. So that's Maeve Brannock and Charlie Brooks, who's actually a technician here. So it wasn't just me alone in this space making this work. It was also made with help and with other hands.
You're very detailed.
That is a frog.
A frog, wow. I mean, process is as important and the experience is as important as any outcome. It doesn't have to be like perfect. It's just, I like it being more expressive or a bit looser, I think. I also look a lot at like, somatics. How can we balance this hierarchy, which is, if we look at it from a somatic viewpoint, that kind of already does that. Like you can use your body as a tool for understanding. If we kind of view our surroundings and view objects through that, rather than from a cognitive point of view, like how can we just be in our body and kind of experience and understand like how we are feeling in relation to things. Craft, because it is so embodied, that is therapy in a way for a lot of people, right? There's such a link between like well-being and craft. I think to me it's not about like having to like over conceptualize craft. It's actually just about like understanding the importance of craft and the value of craft, and that is already as important as art. I think this residency was transformative. it just really like pulls you to the very edges of everything that you can kind of make or do or think, because you're just in this space where like everything is possible. But I just know I have learned a lot, like 100% in like a lot of different ways.